You support not just the populist right, but the far right. In fact, very fringe parties in some countries.
No, I support the normal people.
You know why this exercises me? Because you have really shaped opinion about the UK. People say that you're a racist. It makes people... It's why, we started this conversation saying superlatives. It's why people loathe you. Are you anti-Muslim? Are you anti-Muslim? Are you anti-Muslim?
We're bringing you the breaking news that the German authorities are participating in a manhunt to find an alleged Islamist killer, because we have a situation in which the Berlin Gay Pride event yesterday saw the most extraordinary violence. A van was used to mow down several people. 16 people, I believe, were involved. One person has died.
イスラム圏をね、白人が支配し収奪してきた、それに対する歴史の一種の報復っていうのは始まってると思いますね。これはね、それに対して白人社会、キリスト教圏は絶対に勝てない。しかしどっちが勝つかっていうと、これじゃあイスラムが勝つかってそうも私は言えない。しかし勝てないことは確かだな。やっぱりそれはね、もっと大きなね、歴史のうねりが来てるんでね、歴史のリベンジっていうかな、キリスト教圏はそのイスラム教圏のね、やっぱり今報復を受けてるんで、これはもう大きな歴史の波でしょう。帰り波でしょう。これがね、どういうふうに世界をこう拡大してね、どういうふうになかなか修練もされないだろうけど難しい時代ですね。
Let's get reaction from the political theorist and broadcaster Ralph Scholhammer. Ralph, great to see you again.
Mark, great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on at such short notice. And here we go again, Bondi Beach, Manchester Arena, another attack on a Western target.
ボンダイビーチとは、オーストラリアのシドニーにあるボンダイビーチ近くのショッピングモールで起きた死傷事件。マンチェスターアリーナとは、イギリスマンチェスターのコンサート会場で起きた自爆テロ事件のことを指します。
Yeah, another lone wolf attack by somebody who was apparently known by the authorities. So I guess it's not a lone wolf, it's a known wolf.
Yeah.
And it's very often the very same pattern. I mean, this is very frustrating, and it's particularly frustrating. If you recall, there was this interview done by The Economist with Elon Musk a couple of days ago, where basically the lady who interviewed him said that all these fears of mass migration and Islamization are completely made up.
You have painted... And because you have so many followers, so many Americans believe it, a kind of view that there are sort of grooming gangs everywhere, there's violence everywhere.
And now, barely 48 hours later, you have another Islamist-inspired, or whatever you want to call it, attack in Berlin, which tragically, right, was hitting the very people who I'm pretty sure many of those who are now injured, and my heart goes out to them, but I'm very sure that many of them just a few weeks ago probably were out with Palestine flags, and Queer for Palestine marches.
Well, that's right, because this gay pride event, which of course I support, because you can live your life as you wish, and I know that you're a big libertarian yourself as well, Ralph. But
not at all.
You're old-fashioned. But the bottom line is that it is the progressive left who have been the cheerleaders for these radical Islamists, the useful idiots. And now, as we predicted, these ideologues, these fascists, are coming for them.
Yeah, but I think to a certain extent, Mark, you and I also participate in this problem. I do it too, so this is not an insult to you. But for example, you used now the phrase the radical Islamists. So we have Islam, we have Islamists, and we also have the radical Islamists. We don't do this kind of differentiation with any other ideology. I never heard anybody say during a debate, well, yeah, Hitler was really bad, but there were also the less radical Nazis, and we could work with them. We don't do this. At a certain point, the Muslim community have to take care of their own. This is a responsibility. We must speak openly about this. If there is something like Islamophobia, right, where all Muslims stand together on this, which is fine by me, we also have to say that at a certain point, how is it possible that so many members of your community get radicalized? I know, a sensitive topic, but we have to speak openly about this. This does not come out of nowhere. From Manchester, Ariana Grande concert, you mentioned it, to Bondi Beach, to now Berlin, and these are just the most recent incidents. This does not come from nowhere. If you have a religion, a group, an ideology, out of which a significant subset is willing to execute such crimes, such terrorist attacks, we have to talk to the broader issue as well.
When are these Western governments going to wake up to the importance of national identity, social cohesion, and the rule of law? Because if I look at Germany, if I look at the United Kingdom, if I look at France, I'm seeing civilizational decline.
Well, I would say that at least those who are currently in charge, and that's my most important message to your viewers, they don't think the problem is real. This is why I advise anyone to watch this interview with Elon Musk.
It's brilliant.
Sorry?
It's brilliant because he dismantles a very establishment journalist who says, when he talks about civilizational collapse, she says, nothing to see here. I live in London and everything is the land of milk and honey. Why? Because she's living in a comfortable 4-bedroom house in North London, probably.
And not even that, right? Everybody then went out and said, look at the murder rate in London, it's down.
London is a much safer city than any city in the United States. Violent crime in the UK is not where you think it is. In fact, it's coming down.
But they don't understand. Most people judge their security situation just based on the murder rate. It is a sense, a feeling. When you go outside the front door, do you feel as safe, or is the trend the same as it was in the past? And everybody feels that things are deteriorating. I mean, this idea, I looked up the recent polls, that 23% of voters in the UK would give the vote to the Reform Party, which is fine by me, by the way, or a smaller percentage to Rupert Lowe's Restore. That this is just because of tweets by Elon Musk is completely insane. But this is what they believe. This is what the economists believe. This is what Der Spiegel believes. This is what Friedrich Merz believes. This is what Andy Burnham believes. They all believe if only we would not talk about mass migration, we wouldn't have those problems. They don't take you and your problems seriously. They pay lip service to it because they want your vote, but they do not care about your problems. And I mean the British people, I mean the continental European peoples, I mean all of them. We need change very quickly.
We most certainly do. The AfD is a more right-wing party in Germany. Will they benefit from this horror of the last 24 hours? Do you think that change is coming to a country like Germany? Because we know that Marine Le Pen is in pole position in France. What about Germany?
Well, I think I know what you're saying, and I agree, but I don't like the term benefit, because this is like saying that if you're a successful surgeon that treats cancer patients, one would say, well, don't you benefit from cancer being around?
Of course.
To a certain extent, but you still want to fight the disease, right? And I think it's the same thing here. If Germany, if France, if they would have executed sensible migration policies, there would be no AfD. Right, Le Pen would not be necessary.
Correct. There would be no Nigel Farage.
Exactly. So they don't get it. They still think that the symptom is the actual problem. It's the other way around. They failed, and they're still not willing to admit their failure. And as long as they don't, we have not reached the ceiling. So those 23% of reform, I think there is still a lot of space to go even higher.
Well, that's interesting. So your view is that the establishment know they've messed up and are afraid to admit that. So they're basically all in, a little bit like the authorities during COVID. Once you've had the lockdowns and the vaccine tyranny, you've got to defend it forevermore. Is that your interpretation of it, that privately the establishment know they've messed up, but it's too late?
No, what I think is that they believe that problem only exists because people talk about it.
Right.
This is my sincere conviction. This is why they always attack Elon Musk. This is why they attack X. This is why they want, chat controls like in the European Union. This is why they want age limits and identifications if you want to use social media, because they think if we don't talk about the problem, there won't be a problem. But of course, this is never how it works.
Ralph, before I let you go, you often say it's 5 minutes to midnight for the West. How's that clock looking at the moment?
No, I still believe that the ship can be turned around. But of course, it also depends now on the courage of the voters. if they once again allow themselves, have the wool pulled over their eyes and say, okay, now the Tories get it, now the Christian conservatives get it, now whoever gets it, okay, then it's your fault. It is time for new parties. And if they fail, we vote them out again. But I think it is time that somebody else gets at the helm of the ship.
Ralph, you're a hero. It's so much of a pleasure and a privilege to have you on. I wish it was happier circumstances, but we will speak very soon. Ralph Schellhammer is
Thanks,
a
Mark.
political theorist and broadcaster.
そしてこの事件から2日後の7月27日パリ。日本の包丁を持った男が、通りすがる女性たちを相次いで襲撃、押さえつけられた際に男は、アッラーに命じられたと叫んでいたと、目撃者や撮影動画から報じられています。
You support not just the populist right, but the far right. In fact, very fringe parties in some countries.
No, I support the normal people.
Okay.
What you call the far right, falsely.
You think is the normal person. Okay.
Yes. Literally, you could go back 10 or 15 years, and these policies were completely normal. In fact, one of the tricks that I think is funny. One thing that's quite funny is to take a speech from Obama and Hillary, and then go to someone and say, who's sort of on the sort of what I call the lunatic left, and say, what do you think of the speech by Trump? I'm like, oh wow, he's the worst person ever. Actually, that was a speech by Obama, or actually, that was a speech by Hillary.
I
Literally.
agree. No, I agree that the center of gravity in this country has shifted. Certainly, the Democratic Party shifted to the left. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like Rupert Lowe. I'm
Fringe
talking
right,
about
please.
people.
It's actually just normal people. It's just normal people. It's just normal people. And and here are the principles. And tell me which of these sound terrible. That we should have secure borders. That we should have safe cities. That we should have sensible spending. Which of those three are far right
Those
fringe?
No,
and I would like to just admonish you and the media for the absurd characterization of the far right. It is false and misleading and nonsense. Please keep this part in.
We'll keep all of this in, but let me
Don't cut this part.
Let me push back on that. Let me push back on that
because it is
you have
nonsense.
Elon, you have what is it? Close to 250 million followers on X.
Yeah, because
You say things like,
popular guy.
quote, civil war in Britain is inevitable. Just a question
on the current
of when.
trend, yes.
I mean, when were you last in the UK?
A few years ago.
Exactly. So I live there. I'm there the whole time. That is nonsense.
You live in a cloistered existence.
No, I don't actually. And the numbers also disprove what you say.
What numbers?
All the numbers about crime. London is a much safer city than any city in the United States. Violent crime in the UK is not where you think it is. In fact, it's coming down. You have painted, and because you have so many followers, so many Americans believe it, a kind of view that Europe and the UK are kind of, overrun with terrifying Muslim immigrants. There's rape on every corner. There's a sort of civilizational destruction.
I haven't said any of those things. If you have a large and rapidly growing group of people whose beliefs are antithetical to Western beliefs, at some point there will be a reckoning. That they will try to implement their views, and those who oppose it will oppose it, and that's what you call civil war. And obviously, this is the trend. And you absolutely do live in a cloistered existence. And if you'd like, we can go on a tour of Britain.
Sure.
I'd
be very happy to come on a tour of Britain.
And you will see for yourself.
You come see my country that I live in all the time, and you haven't been to a few years ago.
I've been there literally 100 times.
But when was the last time?
Literally a few years ago.
You know why this exercises me? Because you have really shaped opinion about the UK. And so many Americans I come across, and I have conversations with, and and I just had one the other day, along the order of, oh, London's such a dangerous place. How can you know? There are sort of grooming gangs everywhere. There's violence everywhere. This is a picture that people get from things that you post or that are posted on X. And for example, you're posting for, what was it, 48 hours of Citizen Vigilante, that film which, paints a dystopian, I've watched it.
Yes.
It was not fun. I watched it yesterday. It's not a very good movie. But it also paints a dystopian picture of Europe. And it glorifies vigilante violence. It glorifies the murdering of a Muslim immigrant family. I honestly think that it is irresponsible for you to put that up on X.
I think that it's a movie, and it's worth watching.
People say that you're a racist. What is the motivation for doing that? Are you fomenting?
My partner is she's half Indian, and and I have 4 children with her. One of them was named after a famous Indian physicist. So I would say I'm not racist. And also, if you look at the people that are employed at my companies, we have senior executives of all races. I don't think there's any racism there.
Are you anti-Muslim?
I'm against having if people are coming to a country with antithetical views. I am against that. I'm against that. I'm against. I'm against rape and murder. I'm against the imposition of rules and laws that are contrary to what we've come to accept in the West. And I think it's a crying shame that the sort of traditional media like you don't recognize this.
Why should you be able to shape European politics? You don't even live there.
I think of it as the sort of the West collectively.
But do you see why this makes people think that this man who has all this power, he's the world's richest man, he thinks he has a right to influence our politics? It makes people, it's why, we started this conversation saying superlatives. It's why people loathe you. I mean, some people do loathe you.
Yes, some people do.
But do you understand why? Do you think what you're doing is helpful for Western democracy?
Maybe some people do loathe me. And that's probably true. I don't care. But the fact that, as you pointed out, 250 million people follow me is that I think a lot more people actually like me than don't. And I think a lot more people hate you and the media more than you realize.
If they once again allow themselves to have the wool pulled over their eyes and say, okay, now the Tories get it, now the Christian conservatives get it, now whoever gets it, okay, then it's your fault. It is time for new parties.
難しい時代ですね。その時に日本はアメちゃんだけ頼りにしたらとてもじゃ立っていけないよ。前にも言ったけども、ニューズウィークにね、表紙に日本がアメリカの国旗の何十番目かの星になってたけど、そのうち下手したら中国の6番目の星になるわ。ちっちゃな日の丸が下手したら。